This meeting is being recorded.
Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Davidová and I will present our project COLife, Modern Human Perspective to CoDesign. It will be a mixture of a little bit older works and new works, which we did in CDC at the University of Stuttgart. So please, this project is going to an end at the moment. So please pay attention to that, and we will also present a future vision. I have to say we are committing this project with two of my research associates, Hannah Benham, which is here, and Claudia Valverde, which cannot be here, unfortunately. So now I will share my screen. Thank you. So I would like to start this lecture with the quote to Saskia Sassen. She had a keynote at RSD 8, and she explained that empty luxury tower can deliver more than the occupied one because the properties are recently used as an asset. It's very interesting lecture, how actually our cities, we are still building new buildings and they are just empty. This is the QR code to the lecture if you want to see that. I will just keep it a little bit for your attention. So what I would like to say is that we have to stop building and start adapting our cities to post-Anthropocene. We should start adapting existing buildings that are there to today living. And what I will be talking about is modern human adaptation. And I will be discussing transition for cities from cities for people towards the participation of both biotic and abiotic actors into one feedback looping ecosystem, something that I call the real-life co-design laboratory. And this real-life co-design laboratory is what was defined by Sevalcom as rich design research space. And I'm updating this rich design research space into real life across the modern human actors, which is the real life co-design laboratory. And I will be talking about multicentric design and connecting what is with what if for cross beings co-living. And I'm doing this through systems-oriented design, just a little bit of how I am working. So first, I collect multiple stakeholders or students or whatever group I work with, and I ask each participant to design a minimap. The minimap is individual work of the map of everybody's universe about the topic that is recently being discussed. And then I ask them to put these minimaps together and they present them to each other, which generates an empathy and understanding because everybody starts to understand that everybody has a little bit different universe. And they are often very surprised how different these universes are. And they start relating these universes together in one gigamap, and they search for synergy of what they could do together about the topic that is being discussed. And then they design some system intervention, and that system intervention is put into the real life co-design laboratory, into the real life in full scale, is intervened. And that's where I say that the real co-design really happens because it gets across all the stakeholders that are there because they are just there and they inhabit it, they eat it, they destroy it, or they make it into something else. And then we observe these things and have a reflection and studies about it, and then it goes back again in feedback loops. So this lecture is divided into gigamapping, real-life co-design laboratory, hyper-objectivity in the real-life co-design laboratory, urban adaptation touchpoints, and conclusions and future visions. So let's start with gigamapping. Gigamapping was defined by Sevaldson. It started somewhere in 2007. Here, the first quotation is 2011. So how I work with gigamapping, that's not how everyone works with gigamapping. That's my specific approach, is that the people do minimaps. Here, this gigamap shows how these minimaps are related. All these little points are interpretations of the relations. So you understand what is the synergy amongst all these minimaps and what the people do together. This is another example. This is a cake, a piece of, and you have different pieces of cakes. This was done by the students at Cardiff University. These students, each of them, because they had to submit individual work, so each of them had their own piece of cake. And along this big cake, they were searching for the relations and did collective work together. This is an example of the piece of the cake. This is what happens when we go to communities, and this is a Cardiff deprived community where we worked in. This is a bit more messy, and this all has to be registered and organized into collective gigamap, where all these interventions and inventions in the maps are integrated into one big gigamap and taken into consideration. These are when you make co-design workshop and nobody comes to your co-design workshop. So we intervened through local pub with our models and prototypes and played with the kids in the pub. This is what we do in Stuttgart. It's more organized. It's in the studio space, and we invite multiple experts and stakeholders from the communities and NGOs to co-design with us. Again, these are the representations of the minimaps. This is the synergy. This is work in progress, of course, because this is being co-designed. These gigamaps are being co-designed with the stakeholders. They are done digitally, then printed out. The stakeholders draw into that, like you can see here. They are presented the gigamaps, and they find their points of intervention with their own personal interest, and they intervene into these gigamaps. And these are being updated in the digital gigamaps, and then come to the conclusion of the intervention. So these are just some examples. These are the finalized gigamaps when it's the end of the semester. These are being exhibited at the end of the semester. And then we get to the real life co-design laboratory. These gigamaps we exhibit, as I said, and invite local community to discuss them and find themselves maybe in the gigamap and discuss the topics and update the topics. And then we have the interventions. We put this is a very odd example of a pavilion which perfectly shows how this intervention is being co-designed by the dancer and audiovisual artist who is enacting this pavilion and co-designing it with us together, it's becoming suddenly something else. And here is the black bear, who also co-designed this pavilion into something else. It uses it as the public furniture for birds. And it is very important because, you know, people put the needles in the windows to avoid birds, and birds don't have where to sit, and then they died of exhaustion. So actually the street furniture for birds is very important, so they have where to sit on. And then we get to the hyper-objectivity, to the real-life co-design laboratory. And that is very important. Our interventions are hyper-objective. This is a responsive food insect hotel we did in Prague. This hotel is circular, and it is very important because it has climatic chambers. And thanks to that it's oriented to all world axis, and in addition is done from responsive wood, which each panel is warping differently. It offers different climatic chamber at every location, and the larger the diversity of the climates, the larger the biodiversity. So this is very important. This, of course, you see that it takes public attention, and this is our intention. It was a political project about biocorridor within city center of Prague, and we wanted people to protest. Most people didn't even know they have biocorridor in there, and we wanted to engage the public. So we did different urban games. This is augmented reality game about the local neighborhood. This is a seed bombing event where you engage kids. If you engage kids, you engage parents, which is very important because parents care what their kids want, and that's nice. But what is important for the biodiversity? This is already later stage of this insect hotel. It's called tree hugger, and this tree hugger is inhabited by algae, and this is very important because it's largening the warping of the panels, so it's actually larger diversity of the climatic chambers and the larger the biodiversity. And this responsive wood insect hotel is a fast food restaurant for bats and birds in the neighborhood. So this is what we mapped. Just some examples what was feeding on this hotel. And this is when we had to open it because we had to move it because the municipality decided to fall down the tree. So we had to move it, and we seen what is inside. Now it's moved to different location where it's also happy. And these are just some examples what was inside. What we did with this insect hotel, because people were coming on this public space and didn't understand what is this weird pineapple on the tree. I was actually several times tagged in some public discussions. What is that weird pineapple? So we decided to put a QR code to say what is this weird pineapple. And we decided that it would be just too silly to put what is this weird pineapple. So we decided to put a DIY recipe so that the people can reproduce this pineapple, and thus this project becomes generative because it's being reproduced. This is the QR code to my blog where we place this recipe. If you scroll down a lot, you will find it. You will find many more recipes there now. So please check the QR code. And what we started to do with these DIY recipes is we thought it would be nice to gamify it. So we started to design urban games where people care about biodiversity and DIY our recipes and gain some points and are happy. So this is a game we did in Stuttgart 2 years ago, and this is the game we did last year. We are just making one new one this year. And what we did in Cardiff was that we were speculating about blockchain economy for these applications. So we designed an app where actually pollinator could get paid for pollinating your tomato, and the pollinator could pay you for DIYing their recipes. So this is the application from Cardiff, and what we did here in Stuttgart is we designed the prototype that is actually a responsive food insect hotel that is together with pollinators garden. And we started using image recognition to recognize that the pollinator is pollinating, so that we can assign a value for that idea of the modern human economy, to have it, because in this application in Cardiff, it would be people assigning the value to the pollinator. So now we thought that it would be artificial intelligence. This is somewhat in progress. It's sleeping now. And this is an application spot to be from my colleagues from Cardiff, which is citizen science application when people are spotting the bee. So they are sharing the images with us for training the image recognition that the pollinator is pollinating. So this is the app. We put all these QR codes on our interventions that I will just show shortly, just now. So let's get to the urban adaptation touchpoints, where we put all these QR codes that are leading to these applications. So this is the intervention Pol AI, which we did our first year in Stuttgart. And this has integrated pollinators garden. And why is it so shaped? It is not just because it looks good, which we also like that it looks good, nothing about it, but it is shaped because it generates the diversity of climatic chambers. So you can see here that the different chambers have different temperatures, and the variety of temperatures, the variety of biodiversity. We made community events here with that, and we shared the QR codes where people could get to the DIY recipes. This is already a sister project in Weimar, where we did already the intervention without pollinators garden, because it was just next to the garden. And what we did instead was seed bombing event, where we put the seeds of honey blooming plants, so the plants could grow in front of the insect hotel. This is the intervention after that, which is not focused on responsive wood. However, it focuses on plants, bud hotels, insect hotels, variety of insect hotels, variety of bird boxes like swift boxes and so on, squirrel feeders, and bird pools. So this was also done together with the community, with gardening event with the community. What was unfortunate fact was that The people were not skilled in gardening, so we had to replant all these plants the year after because they were gardened wrongly. It were specifically designed plants for surviving the weather. However, because they were not planted properly, they most of them died. So we got the gardener for the next year. However, in the first year, they bloomed beautifully and they were already beautifully occupied. This is the intervention we did the year after. That's again focused on responsive wood, and it's insect hotels and bird boxes. And it is beautifully warping now in the summer. It's single cells. Also, what I would like to say that we decided to focus on single cells rather than collective intervention, because the species don't like to live together so close. So it is better to have them in single cells. So this intervention brings that idea of responsive wood insect hotels, but as single cells. So that's it. This is bird box. This is the opening. It's not broken. It's the opening for the birds. And also we did seed bombing event for the pollinators to have a lot of honey blooming plants. And again, the pollinators feed on the plants, and then the birds feed on the pollinators. This is the picture from the regardening the intervention before, and this is ecological check of the two first prototypes, because the third one, it was too early, it was too new. So this is the first two prototypes, what was there and how they were inhabited. It was quite alive. And what we did was I invited Elena Porkedu. We did the project together to do mapping with invited experts like ecologists, architectural theorists, and cyberneticians. And we sent them to mapping the neighborhood. Where should we intervene the next time? What would be the most suitable spot? And actually all of them came to conclusion that the best intervention is the old cemetery. And the ecologist suggested that we should focus on reptiles because they are the most precious and they have too little spots to hide. So we did, it's not only focused on reptiles, but we did an intervention that is, we did a solar analysis of the wall where we were intervening, and wind analysis, and focused on reptiles. It was very difficult to get there with that machine between the graves. And we have bud hotels and bird boxes, and here are the reptiles hotels. So it's more complex intervention. This was done just this year, and we are now doing another game intervention with which would focus on token-based economy with gamification. So to conclude with future visions, this is a gigamap which I have drawn very long time ago, and I just placed several of my projects and mapped the different actors and opportunities in these projects. What I concluded is the most actors in the project, the most beneficial for humans as well. So in fact, what is non-anthropocentric is in fact anthropocentric because it's also the most beneficial for humans. And I would like to discuss the transition towards post-Anthropocene, towards biodiversity and climate change adaptation through multi-centered, multi-beings design. We are all dependent on the overall ecosystem, living and non-living. However, recent economic models do not reflect it. I would like to discuss transition from human-centered towards non-anthropocentric, towards social and environmental justice. And this should be happening through feedback loops, through feedback looping gigamatching, ecosystemic prototypical urban interventions, their hyper-objective relations in real-life co-design laboratory. And the real-life co-design laboratory future vision is living ecosystem community, small robotics and AI, modern human regenerative economy. So this is what I envision for my future steps in my career. So thank you for your attention. And if you are interested in the field, please follow our publications on ResearchGate. Thank you. So I will now stop sharing. If you have any questions. Yeah, Caroline?
Yeah, thank you very much for the talk. It was very interesting to see how many different insect hotels and hotels and boxes for other species you did here. I did not get the giga mapping exactly. I did not get what it was exactly.
Okay.
Was it the people were asked about other than human species in their surrounding and mapped where they can find them, or I had not got this?
Yeah, giga mapping is collaborative design tool, or at least in my case, it's co-design tool. We are co-designing together to get to the conclusion. We invite different experts like biologists, NGO representatives, whoever actually. We invite people from NCDC. Sometimes computer scientists come, whoever, and they intervene in these gigamaps with their expertise. So it is collaborative design tools. The students who are co-designing together. They are generating the project through this gigamapping. They need to design somehow. They work in team because it's a group about 12 people, and they have to put the things together.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they try to find out where to put those boxes and so on in their surroundings.
How to design them?
Okay.
They have to analyze the species. Everybody has different responsibility in the team. So somebody is responsible for the biodiversity and checks the biodiversity of the neighborhood and what these species needs. Somebody is responsible for the material and finds out about the material. Somebody is responsible for the wood workshop and finds out how to assemble these boxes. And somebody is responsible for the gigamap, so that it makes sense together. So they are all designing together, and but everybody it's to me it's the best learning outcome.
Yeah.
That the students, they are actually, through this minimap, they are defining the point of their interest, and for that interest they have responsibility in the team, and they deepen their responsibility point, which is what are they the most interested. So they deepen the skills in the depth. However, they have to have overview all over the project because they have to co-design together. So that's to me the best learning outcome, that they deepen what they want to deepen. However, they learn a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Very interesting project.
Any more questions? When you joined too late.
Maybe
It may be confusion about time.
yes, I thought. Yeah, it was a bit.
Yeah, it was a bit short notice. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Okay. But I learned that you have recorded the talk, and
I will
maybe
put
you
it
can.
on my YouTube.
Yeah.
It
Great.
will be on my YouTube because more people ask for recording, so so it will be on my YouTube.
Yes. Okay. So great. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. I will stop recording now. Thank you for your attention. It was great, and thank you for the question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.